Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking almost exclusively about XRP price, but I got to tell you, I've got 3 different chart analysts, and it's all good news for XRP as far as what they're predicting. Before we get going here, though, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you don't hate every word that's coming out of my mouth, consider subscribing. It'd be a good time. I want to be real clear at the front here. I am regular Joe Schmo here. I am not a financial advisor. I have no financial background whatsoever. I'm an enthusiast of XRP. I'm a XRP community member. I engage all the time. I probably spend too much time, on Twitter and XRP chat and all that stuff. And I just think it's fun to engage on various crypto and XRP topics of conversation. This one's definitely a fun one for me, even though I have no financial background and I do not make price predictions. I follow those that do, and I think this is real fun content for videos. And understand, just because I'm the guy that's making the videos here, I'm no different than you. I enjoy these topics too. Like I'm searching for this stuff also. So you're not alone. Of course, we're all curious about this. But let's just go ahead and dive right in here. This is a tweet from Moon Overlord, who I just followed today. Seems to have quite a following, by the way. This guy, look at this, 58,500 followers on Twitter. That doesn't happen overnight. So, interesting. Here's what he tweeted out. Is it finally time to buy XRP on a macro scale? Biggest bull division in history now forming. Historically oversold. He's saying historically XRP is oversold. Community sentiment and XRP army decimated. Note the other bottoms. You get a few days, maybe a week or so to buy the bottom and then get left in the dust. And so I don't know if this guy is pro-XRP, anti-XRP, or indifferent. A lot of time when I see people use the term XRP army, they're anti, but regardless, if he's making a bullish prediction and if he's anti-XRP, and I get no idea if he is, that's even more bullish a sentiment for me from my perspective. So let me pull this up for you here. I'm probably going to make this the thumbnail, maybe just put an overlay like XRP or something like this. But you know what this looks like? So here, well, first, I'll just describe it. Hopefully you can look at this. If you are driving, hands at 10 and 2 motorist. Don't look at the screen. But this goes back sometime. He's just looking for the repeat of the pattern here of the highs and lows here, and it's just fascinating because if you've seen some of my recent videos, there was one recent video I did where there were 3 analysts that I was citing that made price predictions very recently, within, say, the last week and a half or so. And their price predictions, one said that XRP is going to 8 cents. One said that Bitcoin's going, or I'm sorry, one said that XRP is going to 16 cents. One said that it's going potentially as low as 13 cents. And they seem to be pretty much just XRP fudsters, but that information was making the rounds, and so I kind of wanted to talk about it and just kind of called out like as I saw it, which is look who's tweeting this out and why are they just calling out XRP? Because they're saying, okay, one of them even said, okay, fair enough, if Bitcoin goes down, then XRP will do this. Okay, but all coins would. Why are you calling out XRP? And so to me, it looked a little bit fishy anyway. But as far as this go, you know what this chart made me look like? And I covered another, there's another chart analyst, and I'm not really covering his content within this video, but I will say I covered a 2-minute video that he created within the last few days or so. And he was talking about Bitcoin dominance, how it's at the time it was like 65%. I didn't check today, but it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this conversation here. But he was talking about, if you look historically, in terms of Bitcoin dominance versus altcoin dominance, it kind of flip-flops back and forth, and he charted it out over a span of however long it was, his years. And he said now that, if you look at the trend line, we're now touching the low, so if history repeats itself, you're looking at an altcoin run. That's what he said. Okay, so that's why when you're looking at, this is an XRP chart from Poloniex, it looks similar. It looks similar to that because, and why would it though? Well, altcoins, yes, all the altcoins, they move in tandem with Bitcoin, but there's the little exception there, like as I said, where there is the Bitcoin dominance factor, so it runs ahead sometimes, and then there's the alt season and it follows up. So if you zoom out far enough and you overlay charts, it looks like altcoins move perfectly in tandem with Bitcoin. They don't literally, not down to the second, the minute, the hour, the day, the week, whatever. Not to that degree, but they do. They do follow in tandem here. And so when I was looking at this particular XRP chart, I thought to myself, wow, this looks rather similar to the altcoin dominance chart that I saw just the other day and I covered on my channel. It does look similar. And it's not surprising, though, again, if you think about it, because like I just said, all altcoins move in tandem, right, together. So the fact that we're looking at an XRP chart that conceptually is doing the same thing, it's at the bottom, that's not too particularly surprising to me. And so the question ends up coming, there was a guy named Patty Stash, he's the one that made that altcoin dominance chart, and that's when he made that little 2-minute video. And so the question is, will history repeat itself? And if not, what would the reason be? And so I think that's kind of the point here, and that's what this Moon Overlord guy here, that's kind of what he was getting at, is if you just look historically, it's pretty much time. And that's why he wrote again, you only get a few days when it's at the bottom, which he's saying it is now. This is his opinion, not mine, because, again, I don't do technical analysis. But he says maybe get a week or so to buy the bottom, then gets left in the dust. Okay, so, if this happens, XRP could take off at any moment. That's the thing, because XRP is the least correlated asset in terms of price relative to Bitcoin. It can have really long periods of time, like in 2017, where it was more or less flat for about half a year. And then some people lost confidence, not based on fundamentals, just based on, hey, I've held this a long time and nothing has happened. And then they sold it, and then they missed the run-up from about 20 cents all the way up to $3.92, because it happens quickly when it happens. Most of the time when you hold XRP, it's not doing much. That's pretty normal. If you look back historically, that's what it does. In my perspective, that's perfectly okay, and that's fine. All right. But let's take a look now at another chart analyst here and what they have to say. And this is from Aquaflow. Clever name. I do like it. And he tweeted out, the simplest way I can explain it, do you see it now? We're getting closer. And so you can see the chart. And so this time frame, this goes back to 2015, basically. But you can see the pattern that he's pointing out here, which is, points out, number 1, bull run on top. Point number 2, major pivot point after the first sell-off. Point 3, bear market bottom. 4, bullish breakout. Right? And so you can see it did that, and then, and the part that I'm kind of circling around right here, this is 2017 when it had its first major run-up. I think this is probably, what did it get to, about 40 cents here? Yeah, I think it was maybe it was like 42 cents, that's the best of my recollection. I got to that in like May of 2017. And then you can see it ultimately over half a year, so it's flat more or less for about half a year, and then it ran up to $3.92. And the point that this particular chart analyst is making is that from that height of the bull market, January of 2018, you've been on this downward trend ever since. And he's pointing out, this is his technical analysis, I'm just describing it, similar in terms of pattern recognition, it's the same pattern that we saw prior to XRP jumping up to 40 cents. And so that's a second chart analyst's opinion on that. Now let me show you a third chart analyst's opinion on this. It's just verbal. He didn't draw one here, but he goes by the name Awake on Twitter here. And then and he wrote this in response to what I just described above there. He wrote, yep, exactly what I've been trying to gauge. March 2017, repeat, just was early on my original guess. And so let me pull this up again. What he's saying is here, if you look here, because again, this chart, it goes back to 2015 roughly, and then he's saying XRP had its first major crazy pop in price. So I guess it was technically, well, he said it started in March of 2017, but the point is, by the time May of 2017 rolled around, if memory serves, it got up to 42 cents when it started the year at about half a cent. And so that's what he's been saying. Awake is saying that his point, and he thinks that he called it early, but his point was that the type of run-up that you saw, where XRP went from about half a penny to about 42 cents, best of my recollection anyway, he's saying that that's the point where we are in this pattern here today, which is kind of fascinating. So let's go on. He had another tweet on this topic here just a moment ago. Or did this tweet. So, okay, yeah. So somebody named Bogdan Dares tweeted out this. My friend, starting Thursday, the craziness will start. And he's referencing price, of course. XLM, LTC, and all the others. My only question is if XRP will pump first or wait until Monday or Tuesday the following week and hit while others sell and buy other crypto. That would make most sense. Storm is here. And then Awake, the third chart analyst that I'm citing, he responded by stating, I've always been pumping March 2017 as a point in history we are at. If we use Bittrex for XRP/BTC, we can go look at its tail end. I feel it's a better match than others. However, the others are still overall showing the same bigger picture of the pattern. So good guiders. So that's what they're all saying, and I'm happy to share what I think on this. Again, this is me never going to make price predictions. It's just not my shtick. I don't do it. I wouldn't know what I'm talking about. It would be disingenuous for me to say I believe this and like try and trick people into thinking that it's reasonable to believe that. But I want to point out, this is the point that I like to make when I talk about price. In terms of price action, like I did say, XRP, it can remain flat for long periods of time. But what I'm always looking at is the fundamentals. So as long as fundamentals are strong, I'll hold on to it as however long it takes. I don't care. I don't know when I'm going to reach a point where I feel like, okay, yeah, maybe it makes sense to sell a little bit of my XRP or something like that. I don't know that I personally am anywhere near that. But I tend to think, especially if Bitcoin goes in the direction that everybody's predicting, which is way, way, way up. You've got big names like Mike Novogratz. You've got he's predicting, probably $20,000 Bitcoin hitting its all-time high by the end of 2019. You got Thomas Lee, he's saying, especially since Trump was tweeting about Bitcoin, even though it was a negative tweet, it's just bringing more attention to it. And he thought that was actually a bullish indicator. And Thomas Lee of Fundstrat, he's saying that he thinks Bitcoin will be closer to $40,000 by the end of the year. And given that, I firmly believe that no one cryptocurrency is going to rule them all. For me, it just seems like it's a matter of time for XRP to rise, not based on emotion, not based on ideology, but based on fundamentals, because the way the market is treating the crypto asset classes, they view all these coins as one big old ball of wax. They're not really parsing things out and not differentiating amongst them, but they will one day. I mean, that's my whole theory and investment strategy. It's not about daily trading or the price gyrations from day to day. That is my whole premise of how I'm approaching investing. Is I believe that humans will value those cryptocurrencies which are being adopted and have actual utility. And to me, the most clear-cut case in this instance is XRP. And it's still early days. There's only so much adoption, but that's why I'm so excited to be in this so early. And so if Bitcoin does end up going up just as some of these big names are predicting, like I cited Mike Novogratz and Thomas Lee, I'm not making a prediction, but I will not at all be surprised if XRP follows either, if not late this year, I wouldn't be surprised if it does follow in terms of parabolic price action shortly after, even if it's first quarter next year. But it's just a matter of time. I will not be surprised if XRP reaches a point where it's met its all-time high within the next 6 to 9 months. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm just saying if Bitcoin goes to these highs that some of the bigger names are talking about, I think a lot of chart analysts are really expecting that as well, just based historically on just pattern recognition. If that happens, well, why would XRP be left in the dust? So that it won't. So the one that's got the most utility is being most readily adopted. The only cryptocurrency on the planet being used in the commercial production of anything. That one's going to fall behind. I don't buy that. I think people are going to value the fundamentals long term, and that's my stance, and I'm going to invest accordingly. I will continue to do that, right? And so, anyway, that's all I wanted to cover in this particular video here, but thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!